Welcome to Lineups and Lures. Join hosts Joe and Chris as they break down the biggest stories in professional and amateur sports and reel in the best fishing stories and tips. Whether it's game day strategy or the perfect catch, we've got you covered. Grab your gear and get ready. This is Lineups and Lures. So we got out and did some fishing on Wednesday.
We did.
Beautiful day on the Oregon coast.
Amazing day. Unexpected day.
65, 70 degrees there in that Tillamook area. Blue skies. It was supposed to be the calm before that storm that never came.
Right. And considering the wind didn't really come in until 3-4 in the afternoon, we had a whole beautiful day of fishing.
Yeah. And unfortunately, in Oregon coast steelhead fishing, you get a lot of beautiful days of casting, not necessarily a lot of beautiful days of catching.
And if you're silly enough like me and you threw a jig in shallow water and you spent 20 minutes retying lines because I was stupid. But yeah, that happens too. But what I'd like to talk a little bit about was just some of the exploring we did, some of the newfound fishing holes that we found. We ain't going to tell you exactly where they were, but yeah, I think we stumbled across a couple of hidden gems.
Yeah, we went up one of my favorite rivers to fish that's just kind of off the beaten path a little bit for most people because there's no hatchery programs, but we went up the Kilchis. It's one of the first rivers in the Oregon coast to clear out after a big rainstorm. The Wilson was run a little high, made that bank access a little challenging, so we decided to go play on the Kilchis a little bit. Ended up about 3 miles up, fishing a little creek that was flowing in and fished that hole for a little bit. I think you donated a bobber to the fishing gods at that hole.
I did.
Didn't see any fish. Saw one boat coming through, little pontoon guy, which was cool. But didn't see any fish, didn't get any bites. And then we kind of started doing a little exploring, which I got to tell you, that's one of my favorite parts of fishing is you're just on a forestry road, cruising up and down. My black truck is currently brown right now, just covered in mud.
Badge of honor, my friend. Badge of honor.
That's how you know it's a great day.
Right?
But we ended up kind of just pulling off at every little trailhead or game trail and just kind of walking down and checking out some holes. And you did donate another bobber at one of the holes. So
I did.
It was an expensive day on the river.
Yeah, cheaper than a round of golf.
It's true.
No, I think just to echo what you said, I mean, we probably stopped it, and don't think I'm even exaggerating here when I said 15 holes maybe we probably pulled into.
Yeah.
Half of which we could not fish. Either we couldn't get access or the water was still too high to where we would like to have fished. And then we just found some amazing little pockets that I think it's fair to say it was more about just being out in nature and it's pretty, it's relaxing, there's no one around than is it actually going to be a productive fishing hole? That's debatable, but because the further you get up the river, your chances just become less and less and less. And so I think it was more of a sightseeing deal, but we definitely found a couple spots we'd like to go revisit, and it was just a good day, like you said.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite parts of going out, not only this time of year, but even throughout the summer and the fall, because last year I was doing some fishing on the Nehalem, the main fork of the Nehalem.
Okay.
And, ran across a couple spots and fly fishing for cutthroat at the time. And I was like, man, that's a great hole. I bet that's a good steelhead hole.
Right.
I got to keep that one in the back pocket.
Yep.
And then I went out this January and went back to that hole. I'm like, all right, I'm going to fish this. And, I caught my one and only steelhead of the season out of there.
There you go.
It's like, wow, this is great. A plan actually came together the way I expected it to. Doesn't happen very frequently.
No, and I know you said you might be done steelhead fishing for the year, but
yeah, my steelhead stuff is put away.
Well, I might have to drag you out for one more because I haven't touched the Nestucca yet this year, and I might try to find a day next week, and we might just have to go hit Dairy Creek and just for fun go and fish the dip, and just once, just cause.
Yeah, it's I got out there twice this year, and that's still just a great fishery, and it is not necessarily the end of steelhead season. It'll run all the way through April, but right. With all the trout stocking and stuff going on, and I'm going to start hitting the trout fishing, and then waters are starting to warm up in all the lakes and ponds. So now you're starting to get into your bass fishing and your pre-spawn time, which is just a fantastic time to be out bass fishing. So I'm excited to go do that. And then the only reason we're recording our podcast today right now is because we were supposed to be on the Columbia. But
we were meant to be on the Columbia. Why did Bonneville have to let a bunch of water out into the river?
Yeah, it's hard to fish in chocolate milk when you can't see.
Yeah. No, that was unfortunately because the weather's great. Would have been a nice day to be out in the water, but it is what it is, and you just can't. Mother Nature wins every time. So We may look at next week. Obviously, spring of season only goes through, I believe, the 6th of April. So running up against the deadline on that. And hopefully we can have a report on that in the next week or so.
Yeah, it'd be great to get out on the Columbia. It's always fun fishing out there. And even if that doesn't work out, you're going to start seeing some of those fish showing up on the Nehalem. Probably on the Trask, you'll start seeing some Chinook coming through. So there's still plenty of big fish opportunities, but I'm definitely going to be directing my attention more towards the trout and the bass for the next probably 6 months.
Well, in that case, we might have to fish the Trask a lot so I can fish on one side and you can fish on the other side.
Best of both worlds. Want to elevate your game? Portland Baseball Club offers private lessons in pitching, hitting, fielding, and catching to help take your skills to the next level. Get personalized coaching from expert instructors and sharpen the techniques that make all the difference. Sign up today at portlandbaseballclub.com and start dominating the diamond this year. All right, let's dig into the Mariners a little bit.
Okay.
So I think we're both pretty excited for this upcoming season. So let's give a little bit of predictions on where we think certain players will be at the end of this season. So let's start off with batting average. Who do you think is going to be the leading batting average at the end of the season?
That one's pretty easy. It's our center fielder.
For average?
Yep.
All right.
At least it better be.
I don't think it will be. I think it'll be Victor Robles. I think he's going to assemble a few more hits. And then I think, the guy that might sneak up into that position would be JP. I think he might be able to have that season hitting in that 8-9 hole where there's a little less pressure. He's just getting on base. Maybe he takes a little few more walks. But I think Robles is definitely the guy that has a better chance of putting up those numbers because I think Julio is going to be hitting for a little bit more power. He's going to really try to focus on hitting more fly balls this year versus ground balls. I think that's going to affect his average just a little bit.
I'm sticking with him.
All right. OPS.
Well,
gee, I'm going to guess you're going to say Julio again.
I am going to say Julio again. The guy wants to make $450 million. He needs to go start swinging like it.
I think Cal could be right there with him, but I want to say Julio. We need Julio to do it, but
Cal's just not going to hit for the average. I mean, I love the big dumper as much as anything. I'm a catcher myself. I'm always going to support my catcher, but that guy's just not going to hit more than 220, 230. If he does, he might be getting paid $200 million. So,
if he just hit from the left side, I might feel a little more confident because he hits so much better from that side. He does. But staying as a switch hitter, hitting in that 3-4 hole. I think he's going to feel like he has to produce runs, which I think gets you a little bit out of your approach, and that on-base percentage will suffer just a little bit by not taking the walks.
That and, when you hit in the middle of the lineup, you are expected to hit extra base hits. You are expected to drive in runs, and the batting average occasionally suffers from that, and that's a true thing. It's a real thing of being there. Mentally, you just go to the plate thinking, I got to hit the ball out of the yard. That's why I'm hitting in this spot. So that's going to affect Cal. And the thing is, he ain't a secret anymore. I mean, he's an all-star. He is, he's in the conversation for top catches in the league. And he's, like I said, he's on everybody's scouting report, number one.
Yep. Who do you think is going to lead team in hits? I think it's going to be Robles again. I think he's just going to have a lot of opportunities. I think he's going to do everything he can to get on base, so I think he's going to lead the team in hits.
So that's a good take, and I think this is more of a product of where they're hitting in the lineup. I still think there's a chance that Julio goes and hits leadoff. If that happens, I would say him, but with the current makeup on the lineup, I'm going to agree with you and take our leadoff hitter.
All right. Who do you think is going to lead the team in home runs?
Ooh.
This is a tough one.
This is a tough one.
Because you got to remember that they're talking about Luke Raley getting a few more at-bats against left-handed pitchers this year. So
I don't have him in the conversation. I think it's a 3-horse race.
Who are your three?
Rosarina, Cal, and Julio.
Well, Rosarina is pretty consistent in that 20 to 25 range.
Yeah, but does he? He's one of those guys that could take that next step and become an all-star.
He already swings out of his shoes. Do we really want him trying to hit more home runs?
I wish he'd hit 50 basis points higher on his batting average. That's a coin flip between Cal and Julio. It's a coin flip. I'm going to take Cal.
I'm going to say Cal too. And the reason I say that is because half of his games are at T-Mobile Park, and it's a little bit easier to hit home runs to right field than it is to left field.
Agreed.
And I think Julio's going to spend a little bit more time in the middle of the field this year. I don't think he's going to try to be as pull happy as he has been. I think he's starting to understand his role on this team. So I think he's going to be a little bit more gap-to-gap guy. And unfortunately, the ball kind of dies out there at T-Mobile Park.
The other thing that I think might help Cal this year is Mitch Garver has been an every other guy. He's been an odd year guy across his career. If he can hit anywhere close to the way he did in Texas in 23, and maybe he can catch 55 to 60, maybe even 70 games, giving Cal more nights on the DH to take a little away from the stress on his body. That's only going to help his batting average. It's only going to help his home run production. So I think that way. And then the other one is, does the rookie from AAA come up and play any sort of meaningful baseball this year as well? So all of those things only help Cal. So if those guys can do better, I think he's going to get a few more nights in the DH slot.
Yeah, and I think one guy that's a real dark horse to win this race would be Polanco. He has put up 30-plus home run season. He's had a couple 20-plus home run seasons, so he's healthy this year. His knee's not bothering him. Maybe he settles in at third base. Maybe that's a guy that puts up 20-plus again. Maybe.
I hope you're right.
What are the odds? Small. I got to go with Cal, though.
Okay.
Stolen bases. Who do you think is going to lead the team in stolen bases? There's been a lot of talk that we are going to run a lot more this year. To a point where it's like, really, we're stealing again type of running?
Well, the Major League Baseball has affected the rules to make stealing bases a hell of a lot easier.
Well, and it's more entertaining, so I'm all for it. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day is the base is bigger, so you're now literally closer to second base. You can only pick off twice. If you can't steal bases in today's baseball, Ricky might have had 200 of them. Well,
that's why I think a guy in Cincinnati is going to steal 100 this year.
Well, he might. We've talked about that, but as far as the Mariners go, I'm going to go with the leadoff guy again, just because I don't think he's going to have as many extra base hits as Julio. Yeah, he's going to get on, but he's going to get more opportunities to steal second base.
Yeah, I think it's a two-horse race. I think Robles, for those reasons, has a good chance. But I also think Dylan Moore is going to go and swipe 30-plus.
Is he going to get enough ABs to get out there enough?
It's not necessarily the ABs. It's the pinch hitting. It's pinch running. It's those late opportunities.
So you think Cal gets on in the 8th and he might come out and run for him, something like that?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
That's not a bad
I think
take.
Rosarina is going to be a 25 guy. I think Julio's probably going to be around 25 to 30 this year, assuming he stays healthy. I think Robles is definitely going to get a lot. I think JP is going to steal a few here and there.
He'll be sneaky. But hitting in the 8-9 hole hurts him. He's just not going to get as many opportunities as hitting in the 1 hole.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't have to.
Yeah, great.
All right, let's move on to the pitching staff, which, as we know, is arguably the best starting rotation in Major League Baseball. So who do you got to be our wins? The most wins.
Well, I would have said pick 3, but one of the guys is on the IR to start the season, so he's going to miss a few starts. So I'm going to take him out. The funny thing is, wins isn't necessarily the measure of your best pitcher. It's just if your offense happens to pop that night. Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo, pick one. I'm going to go with Gilbert, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was Castillo. And if Kirby is healthy, I put him in that same conversation.
Yeah, the thing with Gilbert is he's going to throw 200-plus innings, which is pretty rare in today's game. Yep. So you look at even opening day, he's 7 innings into that game.
Which
after taking 110 off the butt,
which I couldn't believe he was out there that late. Don't get me wrong, it was fun to watch last night, but I'm like, he's out there again, and yeah.
I think he ended right at 100 pitches. So I mean, that is a little shocking, but at the same time, he's your ace. That's what he's getting paid to do.
And if he's ready to roll, let him go.
Yep. Who do you think is going to be our highest innings pitch guy coming out of the starting rotation?
You just
probably got to be Gilbert,
you
right?
You just answered the question.
Yeah, I think Castillo is going to kind of drop off a little. I think he's going to stay in that 170, 180 innings thing. I think he's starting to get a little older. His velo's down quite a bit at the early part of the season, so I think they're going to kind of be a little more cautious with him.
Right.
I think Bryce Miller has a chance to make a run at that. I don't think Woo's going to be there. I think if we can get 175 innings out of him, we're going to be doing somersaults. So,
my only thing with Miller is he got to learn to get off that fastball a little more often. Because don't get me wrong, he got a great one, but when everyone knows it's coming, you can hit it. So he's got to work on those secondary pitches to get that second, third time through the lineup.
Yep. All right, this one I think will be the most interesting competition amongst the pitchers, and that's who's going to win the ERA title.
Now, are we including the bullpen in this conversation?
If you want to include the bullpen, you go right on ahead. I will definitely not be doing that.
Okay. Kirby.
Well, that's cheating. He's going to be like 5 stars shorter than everybody else. Come on.
Well, then it's Logan.
Not Miller, not Wu.
No. I think those guys are going to be better. Those guys are going to be great pitchers. They ain't Logan Gilbert. Logan Gilbert is a legit ace, Cy Young candidate, and I think you're going to be saying that about him for hopefully the next 10 years in a row. That's how good that guy is, and he's only getting better.
I think it's going to be Bryce Miller. As much as I think Gilbert, just maybe to argue with you a little bit here, but I think he's just got the stuff, and he doesn't have the pressure that Gilbert has.
Sure.
He's not going to be expected to go 7 innings every single start. A 5-6 inning start out of Miller is going to be really good, and they're going to be happy with that.
So is he going to be 4 or 5? Is it going to be him in the 4 hole and Wu in the 5 hole, or are those two going to be flipped around?
I think to start the year, I'd assume that he'll be 3.
Well, right. Assuming when Kirby's back
when Kirby
healthy.
comes back, then yeah, I'd probably put Miller in the 4.
Do you put Castillo in the 3 hole and go with Logan and then George?
Let's see how Castillo's doing at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
Because his success is really going to be dictated based on his changeup effectiveness. He's really kind of lost that pitch a little bit here recently. So, if he's only going to be 93, 94 versus 97, 98, he's going to have to really go back to learning how to pitch again versus just kind of being able to dazzle guys with his stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm not opposed to seeing Castillo in that 2-3 area, maybe even a 4 spot. Just, I don't know. It's a hard one. We have so many good options.
We do.
Yeah. So let's make this easy. Who's your team Cy Young? Logan Gilbert, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's going to be our MVP too. I think he's going to be the best pitcher on the staff.
The Cy Young or the MVP?
Cy Young.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's the best pitcher on the staff, and I think he earned that opening day nod. He proved it on opening day. He's going to be an all-star. Oh. He's going to be in the Cy Young talk for Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
He's pretty good.
He's really good.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Chad with Jackson Painting and Remodel. If your home needs a fresh new look inside or out, my team and I are here to help. We specialize in indoor and outdoor painting, delivering smooth finishes, clean lines, and durable results. Whether you're refreshing your living space or boosting curb appeal, we use top quality materials to get the job done right. Call today for free estimates. Let's bring your vision to life. Jackson Painting and Remodel, trusted, professional, and ready to paint.
Who do you think your team MVP is on the offensive side?
Okay, so I'm going to answer this 2 ways. Who do I want it to be and who do I think it's going to be is 2 different answers. I want it to be Julio. I want him to go and hit 300. I want him to have 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. I want us to be talking about him the same way that we're talking about Gunnar, the same way we're talking about Witt Jr. I want him in that conversation. He hasn't done it yet. And until he does it, I'm going to go with the big dumper.
Okay. When you say that Julio hasn't done it yet, what do you mean? Expand on that.
There's a guy that expects to be in the conversation for MVP of the league every year. He has not been in that conversation yet. And until
One time.
He was a 6th, 7th, 8th choice. The way he structured his contract, the way everything that he has done has been, I want to be the MVP of the league. So I want him to be the MVP of the league. I want to see it.
Yeah, I mean, not trying to nerd out and get into too much stats here, but, you start talking about WAR and those kind of stats, he is one of the best players. And even though he's had this notorious slow start in April and May, his averages still make him out to be one of the best players in Major League Baseball. Every year.
I am not disagreeing with that. But he has come out and said, I want to be the best. And He hasn't been the best yet.
But if he can come out and have a average April, an average May, and then do what he normally does June, July when the weather warms up,
well, then he'll be the best.
He's not only the MVP for us, he's an MVP candidate for the entire league.
Correct, and that's what we expect him to be. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, I wouldn't talk. I'm not talking about a Rosarina this way. I'm talking about Julio. He's meant to be the next Ken Griffey Jr. Let's call it what he's meant to be. He's meant to be the next kid out there. It's what he wants to be. He's sitting around there in no-fly zone, all this stuff. Come on, man.
I think he wants to be, but he's not. And I think he knows that. He's not a guy that's going to go hit 40, 50 home runs a year. When you talk about being the next Griffey, that's what I think. He's going to drive in 100 runs, and he's going to be a 40, 50 home run guy, face of the league. I think this guy's the face of the league because of personality. He plays the game hard, runs the bases, steals bases. He's more of that hybrid player that every team is looking for in your superstar.
Yeah, I mean,
because there's only so many Aaron Judges out there that you can go, all right, this guy's going to hit 50 plus home runs.
So I'm not saying it needs to be all with the home runs. I'm not saying he needs to go hit 50. I'm saying he needs to hit 30.
But when you talk to a guy like that and you go, hey, you're getting paid all this money, we expect you to be the face of this franchise. Mm-hmm. Most of those players think, I got to hit more power. I got to be more of a home run guy.
I don't necessarily agree with that. There's something to be said for hitting 300. There's something to be said for, stealing 40 bases. There's something to be said for playing the hell out of center field because he played defense too. So it's not all about home runs, and I'm not trying to say it is. What I'm trying to say is I want him to hit 300. I want him to have 100 RBIs. I want him to steal 30, 40 bases. I want him to play 150 games in a year. Not, I'm asking a lot here. I know I am, but we're talking about the guy that should be in the conversation for league MVP. Hasn't been there yet. I want to see that.
But what you're talking about, those are his career averages. I mean, the guy career average is around a 275 hitter.
That's not 300.
His career.
Do you know how much harder it is to hit 300 than 275? Do you got any idea how much better you have to be to hit 300?
Maybe 10, 15 more walks, another sac fly here and there, kind of taking what the pitcher gives you and slapping a single instead and trying to hit a double. And
that's okay. Get on base, babe. Steal second. I don't care how you get there. If you hit it off the gap or you walk to first and steal second, you still got there.
I'm just saying, I think that what he is doing right now from a numbers perspective, he's been very consistent. Even though it feels like he's inconsistent, and that's because of his slow starts. But, they call it an average for a reason. And I think in Major League Baseball, you can look at averages as the telling story because we play 162 games. His averages are really good. Are they MVP level good? No. But are they enough to carry a team good? I think so.
Nah, you and I are just going to keep disagreeing on this one. I'm sorry. I need more out of him. I want more.
Let's dive back into that again because I cut you off. So what is it you want to see more? Be specific.
Okay. I want him. This is what I want to see from Julio. 300, 30 home runs, not 50, 30. I want to see 100 RBIs. I want to see a 30-plus stolen bases. And I want to see him continue to play Gold Glove center field. And I want him to be on the field for 150-plus games. That's what I want.
Yeah. And I think if you see that, I think the Mariners make the playoffs.
Yes.
I think we can go deep into the playoffs.
Yes.
And if he puts up a season like that, I think the Mariners and him are in contention for an MVP.
And I think if we're doing those things along the way, we might be looking for a bat at the deadline too. So I wouldn't put any of those things out. It's also going to affect, as I've said a million times before, the way other guys in the lineup get pitched to. And that is a huge thing. That's a real thing. I think that's why the Dodgers do it so well because, pick your poison. You want to throw to Shohei, Freddie Freeman, or Mookie Betts. Either way, you got an MVP candidate hitting the ball. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think as I look down kind of our predictions, this team is definitely going to go as far as Julio takes them, as far as Cal takes them, and barring any other injuries to our pitching staff. I think we're good where we're at now. I think another injury would really hurt us, but I think if we can get carried by Gilbert, we're going to be right there. I think Miller's going to have a great season. I think Woo's going to be healthy this year, and that's going to be a really good team.
Well, and the other scary thing to remember is that I think the Mariners, when they scored 3 or more runs at Safeco Field, won something like 90% of the time. We just got to score 3 runs at home. So, and what was the score of last night's ball game?
4-2.
4-2. We won a ball game. So, 2023 we made the playoffs. We had a great record in 1-run games. Last year, not so good record in 1-run games. Just missed the playoffs. I think we're going to have to win those 1-2-run baseball games. There's going to be a lot of them, and accept that. So if we can score 4 runs at Safeco Field and win the 1-run games, we're in the playoffs and looking good.
Sounds like a broken record because I remember Randy Johnson on the mound. Man, if we can just score 2 or 3. I remember Felix Hernandez on the mound. Man, if we can just get him 2 or 3 runs, we're going to be good. And we're right back in that same situation. So I agree. If that changes, if we can average 3-4 runs a game, I think we're going to have a real shot at it this year.
Yeah.
Enjoyed Lineups and Lures? Like, share, and rate the show to help us grow. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening, and catch you next time on Lineups and Lures.